Greetings, my non-existent viewers. I wanted to apologize in advance if you guys hear rain in this video. Like, it's been raining like crazy all evening tonight here in Fort Collins. And, this is like, I've been making these kind of videos since like summer of 2017, so for almost 5 years now, where like, I would, make videos talking about all the movies I've seen in its respective month from worst to best to start like June 2017 films from worst to best. And these kind of videos I've made have gone through a handful of like iterations over the years. I started doing like, all the spring films, summer films, fall films in their respective years from worst to best. And I kind of stopped making these kind of videos like back in 2020 because like, well, the theaters were closed for most of it. I wasn't really seeing any new movies, so therefore I stopped making these kind of videos. But I want to get back to making these videos, I'd say like once every 4 months. And it's May, or officially a third of the way done with this year. So I figured I could take all the films I've seen so far in 2022, like from January all the way till April, from worst to best. And I'm going to make another one of these videos probably at the end of August or start of September, ranking all the summer films, because I consider May a summer month because that's when most schools end in my area, at least. So if I'm gonna at the end of the summer, I'm gonna take all the summer films from this year from worst to best, and probably at like end of December, probably on the same day when I do my annual New Year's Eve Q&A, I'll take all the fall films and December like 2022 films from worst to best. So yeah, I'm gonna rank. I saw 12 movies this year, and keep in mind this ranking is based purely off of like my opinion and just from the films I've seen. And there's a lot of like films that have been very well received. I feel kind of bad for not watching before making this video. Like, I haven't seen Turning Red, I haven't seen Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and I decided to skip a Fantastic Beasts Secrets of Dumbledore because I've been a massive Potterhead like ever since I was little. I'm listening to Harry Potter audiobooks right now. I'm in the middle of a Half-Blood Prince. But Secrets Dumbledore, it's like Fox firing Johnny Depp, even though Johnny Depp was clearly not wrong for the whole like Amber Heard case. It still hasn't really sat well with me, and I understand why people are boycotting it with all the mixed reviews. I feel like I'm just gonna wait for that to come out on DVD and just watch it then. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm good. Like, for the videos I've already touched base on, I made a video like a month ago around the Oscars, making a tier list for all the films I've seen this decade so far from worst to best. So for the 2022 films I've already discussed in that video specifically, I'm going to do my best to keep them as straight to the point as humanly possible in this video in general, but knowing me, I'm probably going to ramble and go all over the place. But yeah, let's just get this out of the way. The worst movie I have seen this year so far is Morbius, and I know I'm not alone in this one. Oh my god. Jared Leto, just, again, what happened, buddy? I'm genuinely amazed at how bad Morbius is. Like, the performances, the CGI, the editing, the special effects, the plot, the action scenes, the characters, everything in this movie just fell completely flat on its face. And it's like, Sony, just leave the Marvel movies either to your animation studio for Spider-Verse. I heard that the Spider-Verse sequel has been delayed until 2023. Ugh, bummer. And just leave the Marvel movies to Disney with the whole MCU, because overall I've not been impressed with what they've been doing lately. But yeah, the second worst film I've seen this year is The 355, the first film that I reviewed this year, way back in January. And of course, January release date. This is basically your run-of-the-mill, like, just totally disposable January action movie. I didn't hate it. It was just, the editing was really sloppy, and I couldn't really get into the characters or the storyline. It just overall was not a good film. And next, moving into some slightly more positive territory, I have Dog with Channing Tatum. Again, this is not a film for everybody, and it's passable. It's not great. It's like, I understand why people had issues with it, with certain jokes in this film. But overall, I'm a huge Dog person, so I enjoyed it. Just like how I enjoyed Uncharted, the next film on on this in this list. Uncharted, definitely one of the better video game adaptations. I've heard very like mixed. I've never played the Uncharted games. I'm an Xbox guy, and the Uncharted games are PlayStation exclusives. I've heard very mixed things from fans of this game online. Uncharted fans, either they love it or they hate it or anywhere in between. But overall, Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, I thought he was great with Mark Wahlberg and the other characters, and overall had a decent time with it. And I gotta say, probably the most pleasant surprise of the year is the next one on this list, Scream. I still haven't watched the original Scream films, but seeing this fifth Scream film really made me want to do so. And I think it's really cool how Jenna Ortega's in this movie. The character she plays, the movie Hereditary, which is an A24 film, and she stars in a certain A24 film that we'll get to in just a minute. That being X, and X is definitely a film that's it's hard to watch, because I'm not like it's all the main characters are porn stars, and I quit watching porn years ago, so some scenes in particular just I found difficult to watch. It's violent, there's nudity, but it's not like a brainless like gore and tits fest like other slasher films that you've seen. It's definitely a throwback to like 70s and 80s slasher films, and definitely a film that you have to watch at least twice to fully understand it. And yeah, this is definitely a film, that's probably going to grow on me after a second watch. This, again, I mentioned Hereditary. That's a movie that's grown on me quite a lot over the years. I've rewatched it twice. It's great for, Halloween. And this is also going to be like a good Halloween film. I can see it happening. Like, I can see myself, buying this movie on DVD and showing it to my friends, whatever we're doing that Halloween. It's like, hey, let's watch this. And, I can hopefully get a better idea of like the metaphors or certain illusions that it was making. This is probably the best video game movie we've of all time. As of now, this is subject to change. That's got to be Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The one thing I will say the first film does do better is Sonic's dynamic with Donut Lord. Because I just thought that the first film did that one thing better, where it's like they felt more like friends. Well, this film, like James Marsden, playing Donut Lord and his wife, there's this whole like wedding subplot that kind of derailed the movie, and it was just went on for way too long. But aside from that, like I had a blast with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, with Sonic and Knuckles and Tails and Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik just going around, just running around the action scenes. And the last fight scene in this film was the first time that a video game movie like gave me chills. I was like, yes, that was just so satisfying. And MCU, get out of here with your post-credits scene. Because Sonic 2's post-credits scene is probably the most like hyped. It's made me the most hyped I've ever been for like a sequel in a film franchise adapting a video game of all things. And I just want to say, if the song Live and Learn from the game Sonic Adventure 2 isn't on the soundtrack for the third film in this franchise, I'm gonna start a riot. Now, this is as of now, my top 5 favorite movies of the year. This was the first film that I saw in 2022 to receive a 9 out of 10 stars, and that's Jackass Forever. I strongly doubt there's ever gonna be a 5th Jackass film, especially with some of the injuries the actors go through in this movie. Like Johnny Knoxville suffered like permanent brain damage from one of the stunts, and Steve-O, Danger Aaron, just, oh my gosh, those guys are crazy. But yeah, it was just so refreshing that we did get to see like a 4th Jackass film after all the shit that the cast has gone through over the years. And thank God Steve-O has been sober since 2008. And yeah, Ryan Dunn, rest in peace. But yeah, like this film it's very uncomfortable with all the male nudity and dick related injuries in this movie, but I still had a blast watching it. It was the hardest I'd laughed in a theater in a very long time. Next up, this is, as of now, my pick for best animated movie of the year. That is The Bad Guys. Hands down the best DreamWorks film I have seen that we've had in years. Like, yes, the plot is nothing you haven't seen before. It's predictable, and it does, go through some like genre cliches that you might get sick of seeing. But overall, it had a really engaging story and a surprising amount of social commentary, and really like excellent animation. The animation was unique and had a stellar voice cast. And overall, I'd say like DreamWorks has had a thing for like villains and like anti-heroes for years now, and I hope they stick with it. And moving into some like gold territory here. My pick, as of now, for a third best film of 2022 is The Northman. The main reason why The Northman's not, like, in my second or first spot on this list is that it was very brutal and heavy and intense. It was the kind of like an intense like film that when you come home from the movie theater after seeing a film that's just like has that much brutality, I was just like, I need to watch something like a SpongeBob episode or something comedic and lighthearted just to wash it down. Like The Northman, it is super violent and there's a lot of like just really heavy themes that this film touches base on, but like it's an experience. Like The Northman, again, not an experience I see myself rewatching anytime soon, but Robert, I can't freaking remember how to pronounce his name. Is it Robert Eggers or Robert Edgers? I mean, you can scream at me in the comments for this, but he did such an amazing job directing this film. He directed The Lighthouse. Really like that film. I still have not watched The Witch, his directorial debut, but The Northman has definitely made me want to do so. Like, it's a adaptation of a Viking legend. I've been enamored with like Norse mythology ever since I was a kid, and I love the mythological themes this film touched base on, with Bjork playing the Cirrus, and Anya Taylor-Joy playing as Olga, the love interest. This is my favorite Anya Taylor-Joy performance, and Alexander Skarsgård as a titular Northman. He just worked so hard for this role, and it really paid off because the action scenes were beautifully executed, and the choreography, the cinematography, the CGI, everything about this film was just on point, and it wants you to feel a certain way, and it excels in that to a T, and it's a revenge story, and just overall was just, it was just, there's no film quite like The Northman, just saying. And as of now, my pick for second best film of the year is The Batman. Like, I understand why some people didn't really care for The Batman. I understand why it's, got divided opinions online. Some people complain that's like, oh, it's the romance between Batman and Catwoman doesn't land, or Paul Dano playing Riddler wasn't that great, or it's too long, it's 3 hours, or blah blah blah. Again, if you don't like this film, that's fine, you're allowed to have those opinions, but I gotta say, the Batman, definitely not the best Batman movie we've ever received. That's always going to be The Dark Knight for me. But yeah, like Matt Reeves as the director and like Edward Pattinson as Batman, it just really worked for me. Like I loved the way this film was shot, the score, the action scenes, like that car chase in particular with Batman and the Penguin was just so on point. And like I loved Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and I loved the cast, and I loved just this film was, again, the pacing it does drag in some scenes. I do agree with people who complain about that, but overall I just had an amazing time with The Batman. And now, my pick for best film of the year so far is not a film I had the chance to review, mostly because I just got back from seeing it tonight. This is not a film I was gonna let myself, skip or not watched until it came out on DVD, and I was off work today, and it was discount Tuesday, so I had to walk home in the rain after seeing this film, but it was totally worth it. And that, my friends, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Holy shit, this movie was it's S tier, guys. I'm not joking. It's like I've never seen any film like it. It beautifully balances out sci-fi, action, comedy, drama, and romance. It's so genre bending where it's like the premise is Michelle Yeoh, she plays she's this aging Chinese immigrant. She's a wife and she's a mother to this girl named Joy, and like there's the multiverse. It's funny, when I saw the trailer for this film, it instantly reminded me of Doctor Strange, with the whole multiverse of madness is coming out next weekend. And it's funny because the Russo brothers produced this movie just like how they directed the Avengers films that tackle themes of like multiple dimensions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a sci-fi in the sense that it has this whole idea of like there being alternate universes, that like, hey, your conscience is here, your consciousness could be somewhere else. And the action scenes, oh my gosh, the action scenes were so well executed and choreographed, and they were so creative too, with the way that like the characters fight each other. And the comedy, guys, there were many times watching this film where everyone in the theater, myself included, was just laughing hysterically. Especially like there's one scene in particular where she goes to an alternate universe where everyone's fingers are literal sausages. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. And it's like it's a family drama because her daughter, she's growing up and she's a lesbian. She's dating a girl, and she's like, and the mom is cool with it, but her grandparents might not be, and like the romance there with Michelle Yeoh with her husband and her daughter with her girlfriend was just I honestly I could probably talk about this movie for ages because like special effects, the performances, the casting, the characters, the script. Honestly, I really hope when Oscar season comes around, I really hope this receives an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay because it is truly unique as a film, and it's a shame that this film's wide release didn't go on for super long, but I'm so happy that I got to watch it. All right, well, that's it. My picks for film 2000, all the films I've seen in 2022, so far from worst to best. And you guys are more welcome to leave your own rankings down in the description below, or like tell me like what's your favorite movie of the year so far, or what's your worst movie of the year so far. And yeah, give us a thumbs up, like please, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the description. This has been TVB9, and I am going to sleep. Stay beastly.